People are often curious about the path that I took from being a writer to being a business person, opening a small book coaching business, to being an entrepreneur with a bigger business now. And it strikes me often as a peculiar question, but I finally figured out why. It's because we often don't think that people who have the skills of writing also have the skills of running a business. We tend to think somebody like me who is an English major doesn't know how to think about profit and loss or marketing or messaging or any of the key things that business does. And the more that I think about this, the crazier it seems to me, because the two things are exactly the same. Having experienced it now for more than 10 years my own self, the process is the same. If you're a creative person, you can be a business person. And I want to talk about 5 skills that a writer has that transfer really well over to business. They're very specific skills, and I see them all the time in the coaches that I train and in my own self. So the first one is just straight up creativity. You know how to make things. That's what creativity is, right? If you're a writer and you're making up arguments or stories from nothing, you're spinning them out of thin air. And that creative process, that making of something from nothing, is what happens in business as well. We're creating products for people. We're designing things. We're making things up. We're putting them together in ways that we think are going to be successful. So that creative impulse that writers have transfers just beautifully over to running a business. Another thing that writers have is the ability to communicate, the understanding of how words work and how language works, and the precision that you need to write clear words and sentences. You can craft excellent messaging if you know how to do that. You can write headlines and blog posts and newsletters and lesson plans and everything else that is going to be excellent, because you've got that skill of being able to communicate and using words to your advantage and understanding the power that they have. It's a massive advantage in business to know how to communicate. A third thing that writers have that you need in business is the ability to persist. Writers are amazing at this. Every single writer knows that they're going to write pages and throw them out, and write pages and throw them out again and again and again. That's what we do. We understand that the process of writing something involves writing things that don't work. And the same thing happens in business. You make something that doesn't work. You put a product out that doesn't fly. You put a price on something that doesn't resonate. That ability to do that, and then to persist and to keep trying, and to not have that rejection or that situation knock you off your game. Writers know how to do this. We do it every day. Every writer's had the experience of sitting down and for a writing session, and all you get out of it is a couple sentences where you mostly took things away, or you wrote things and you didn't like them. And that iterative process and the ability to persist through it is just a key skill to have in business as well. Writers have another skill that's really important in business, and that is empathy. So the empathy that writers naturally have is that we're always thinking about the reader. What are they going to think? What are they going to feel? What are they going to experience? That ability to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes and to think about that other person and how they're going to move through this story or this argument that you're making as a writer. We need that skill in business too, that empathy, that ability to think about our client. What do they need? What do they want? What are they worried about? What can we do to help them? How are they going to perceive this offering or this thing that I'm making? What else are they looking at? What do they feel about the money? The ability to put yourself in the shoes of your client is a key one, and it's one that writers naturally are honing all the time. It's how we're always thinking when we're writing a story for somebody else, or writing a nonfiction argument or article for somebody else. We're building that muscle of empathy, and we can use that in business. And then the last trait that I wanted to talk, or skill that I wanted to talk about, is imagination. So this is different from creativity. Creativity is making something out of nothing, building something, developing something. Imagination is thinking about what something is going to be in the future. Writers are so good at this. Fiction writers are imagining entire worlds that don't exist. We are imagining the book on the shelf someday and how readers are going to react for it, which kind of overlaps with empathy. Nonfiction writers are imagining how their book is going to be used by the readers in the world, how they're going to learn from it, what they're going to be transformed from it. This imagining of the future and the envisioning of the future is something that you do in business all the time too. You think, what will it look like if I offer this service? What will I look like to help writers in this particular way? How will my days be if I'm doing this type of work versus this other kind of work? That ability to imagine and think through scenarios and lives and futures that writers have, business people have to have too. So these skills that you already possess are ones that can really be put to use if you were to start a book coaching business. The thing that I always laugh about is business is not all business is the business of people. That's all it is. It's, what do people need? What do they want? What are they willing to pay for? How can I help them? What are they feeling? All these questions are the things that writers are asking in the process of writing, and serving writer or serving writers through your book coaching business is exactly the same thing. It's a people business. So your ability to create and to empathize and to communicate and to persist and to imagine are skills that you can bring to bear on helping other writers. And if you're anything like me, there's quite a thrill in making that transition and in realizing that the skills that you have as a writer are skills that can be used, sometimes people say, in the real world, because writing feels like not the real world. Feels like some, special other place. But they're things that you can transfer, that you can translate, that you can lean on, that you can use. And I happen to think it's really fun to do that.